Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Fellow citizens, following the sequence of events, Uganda seems to be at political crossroads.
I'm not a servant of anybody.
Madam, I know the law.
As such, Alternative Digitalk brings you the Interface Show with retired Colonel Dr. Kiza Besuje.
Let's keep on the same page on Alternative Digitalk,
As he gives you the alternatives on the transition question, rule of law, human rights and freedom, youth inclusion in governance, economic stagnation, as he confirms.
I'll be always here Saturday from 10 a.m. in the morning. Be there.
Don't miss the live discussion on the Alternative Uganda, Digitalk TV Facebook pages, and the Alternative Uganda YouTube channel.
Are you guys ready? Okay, let's serve Uganda. As promised, we deliver. We are redefining the social media narrative, asking tough questions and holding your leaders accountable. We are non-partisan and break down having a conversation with Uganda.
We are the Mighty Drive. We hold debates that give you viable solutions. We bring to you people that Ivora is wanting to listen to. We are gender sensitive and give space to the unheard voices. Not forgetting the quote of the day.
We are live on our social media platforms, The Alternative Uganda on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter from Monday to Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Don't miss the debate behind the wheels and our studios.
I am Edgar Matthew Karuhanga.
Farida Kabele.
And Princess Luwe Delidian.
Expect in-depth analysis, credible, factual and authentic information. We are the Alternative Digitalk.
Real issues, real talk.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Three minutes past the top of the hour. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program. My name is Edgar Matthew Karuhanga. It is the 24th day of November 2022. A lot of news stories making rounds in the world as the World Cup actually becoming a tournament that we are going to forever remember. A tournament where the underdogs are coming to overturn the games and actually beating what we call the bigger dogs in the competition. And of course, still to come, the police of Uganda still battling an impending threat of assailants who are trying to attack police stations, steal guns, and maybe we don't know what else they are going to use these guns for. And of course, the climate change crisis still impending, and we're going to be talking about that particular issue. And later on, we shall be talking about the people who perished in a fire outbreak right there in Namuongo in Makindye East constituency in Kampala district. Sad indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Edgar Matthew Karuhanga. I would love to welcome you to the Mighty Drive show one more time. This is a show that happens every Monday to Friday from 7 to 9 a.m. We're always here. As we promised you, we break down having a conversation with this country because we believe an informed citizenry can make informed decisions that at the end of the day can make Uganda a better place. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. For those who are tuning in for their very, very first time, We stream live on various pages, that is at Digitalk TV and at the Alternative Uganda on Facebook. And later on, you'll be having this video on YouTube, on our social media platforms, or on our channel that is at the Alternative Uganda YouTube channel. You can still also send in some comments and some regards on our Twitter platforms, that is at the Alternative Uga, or you can look at the Alternative Uganda and you'll be able to see us in that particular regard. Today I'm sitting in for Mr. Roger Turiahabwe, and we'll be having a very, very, a good conversation with a gentleman who is a novelist, and he's going to be informing the country about some of his, literacy works and, literature pieces that he has put together. This gentleman is called Kabele Erick. He'll be joining me later on in the show. But before he does that, I would love to just peruse you through some of the things that are happening in the biggest competition that happens only once in 4 years. That is the World Cup. The World Cup of this year is becoming something that is dynamic and different, something that we didn't, look up to, something that we didn't expect to happen. Yesterday, you remember what happened when the Argentines, these are some of the tournament favorites, were beaten by, surprisingly, Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia was able to stop the Argentine 36-match, winning streak that has been there since 2018. That is in the World Cup. They last lost a game that was against France in the 2018 World Cup. They have been, a very, very tremendous side in that particular regard. But of course, news made round as the Saudi Arabians came from back and were able to actually win the Argentines by 2-1. Now, Argentina is, unfortunately, I think the last in their particular, group, and various people have various things to talk about this. But of course, this is football. I wonder why people are so surprised, because football is like that. Anything can happen when it comes to football. So as we speak, Group C, where Argentina is, Saudi Arabia is topping this particular group. Poland comes second because Poland drew against Mexico in a thrilling game where we saw the goalkeeper of Mexico, that is none other than the legend himself, Ochoa. Ochoa was able to save a penalty by Lewandowski, and of course denying the Barcelona skipper to be able to claim the 3 points for the Polish side. Now, in another game that happened right there was, as I've told you, Poland taking on Mexico. It was a 1-0 draw, and of course Ochoa saving that particular penalty. So that means Saudi Arabia is topping this particular group C with 3 points, and of course Poland coming in second with 1 point, Mexico coming in third with 1 point, and of course Argentina is last with 0 points. But this is, just the start. Remember, in history, we have seen some remarkable comebacks from the teams that lost their first games in their group stages. A case in point would be the Spanish side that went on to win the 2010 World Cup. They lost their opening game, remember, in that particular campaign, but that did not bar them from coming and working tremendously well in order to claim the Spanish World Cup for the very, very first time. And still in that regard, we saw shocking news yesterday as well. In fact, the Argentine game was there yesterday but won. But yesterday, we also saw another shocking encounter. To me, it wasn't shocking, by the way, when the Japanese side came to actually score 2 goals in 8 minutes to claim a victory against the Germans in that particular regard. Remember, the goal scoring was opened up earlier on in that particular match by the Germans, but later on 2 Japanese players came out to shock the 3-time World Cup winners, which actually surprised the whole world. I wasn't surprised because the only difference I thought was in the game is that the Germans, we know them. We've seen them play in their various, tournaments in the Bundesliga, and we've seen them, and we always follow them day in, day out. The difference is the Japanese are the people we do not actually look out for. We do not watch their games, but these people are uniquely talented. And this year's edition of the World Cup is something that is dynamic. These players that are playing in these particular teams, they play with professional clubs. That means they've seen these professional players before. A case in point can be the Belgian side. You saw it taking on the Canadians yesterday night, where you saw that the Canadians were doing everything right. It was just the lack of professionalism to, have that last ball in the net that actually failed them in that particular regard. But you can see that there is no team that you can actually downplay in this particular competition. And it looks like the teams that we have dubbed to be the favorites actually are struggling to be able to win themselves particular games in these particular opening games that we are seeing right here in Qatar. So as we speak right now, we saw that this particular group D, in fact, this particular group D, now Germany is trailing and they're third in position plus Costa Rica. Unfortunately, Costa Rica was thrashed, for lack of a better word, 7-0. The Spanish side did not, want anything to hear in that particular regard. Dani Olmo, we saw Ferran Torres, the ex-Manchester City player, who's now playing at Barcelona, netting himself 2 goals that, successfully took the Spanish side on the first position in this particular group. So Group E, Spain is number 1 right now. Japan is number 2. They are both having 3 points. Then Germany and Costa Rica are trailing that particular group. And in Group D, we have France, Tunisia, Denmark, and Australia. The French side came out to have a remarkable comeback after coming from behind to take on the particular game against Australia. Remember, goals were scored by Kylian Mbappe, and of course, in that particular match, history was made as Olivier Giroud, 36 years of age, from AC Milan, was able to actually surprise the world that he scored a brace, and now he is the joint top scorer of France with Thierry Henry. Now, Giroud needs only 1 goal to break this record, and he will become the all-time goal scorer of the French side. Something that nobody saw coming, because this gentleman joined the French team, I think, by the age of 25. Yeah, that shows you tremendous hard work. This gentleman has thrived in the 10 years he's been playing for the French side. And of course, this gentleman has not been a starter. He's actually started to be a starter after Karim Benzema and Valbuena had that particular challenge that saw them quit the national team for France because of some indecent acts in that particular regard. So as we speak right now, Olivier Giroud is having 51 goals, and Thierry Henry, of course, has 51 goals after netting a brace. And Mbappe was outstanding in that game. Mbappe was really doing tremendous dribbling, tremendous football in that particular regard. He assisted and he scored. He was a threat on goal and actually was able to win himself the player of the match in that particular regard. Tunisia have surprised the world after, drawing against Croatia. That was a 0-0 in yesterday. That happened in Qatar. The Croatians, finalists last year in the last tournament, were actually held by the Tunisian side. That means it is a draw in that particular regard. In fact, no, it was Tunisia versus Denmark. We saw Tunisia holding Denmark very, very firmly in order for them not to be able to claim themselves the 3 points. And of course, in that particular regard, we had Morocco taking on Croatia. That is the game I was talking about that was also entertaining, but also ended in a draw. Morocco was able to claim a draw with Ashraf Hakimi, Hakim Ziyech also all trying their level best, but unfortunately that game ended 0-0 in that particular regard. So in Group F, Belgium has 3 points. They are leading this particular group. Croatia has 1 point, Morocco has 1 point, and Canada is last. But Canada is a team to look out for because these boys are playing tremendous football. But I believe when you look at yesterday's game against Belgium, you realize that the Canadian side they had their favorite top player, Alphonso Davies, who plays for Bayern Munich, actually ruining the game. He actually missed a penalty in that particular regard. He missed a penalty, and you saw that he was on panic, trying to prove a point instead of just playing as a team. A thing that Kylian Mbappe understood better and actually, did it tremendously well on the French side. I believe you can be a star, but if you don't play as a team, it's going to be useless for you. That is a word I think that Alphonso Davies should hear from his coaches. He deserves to play as a team, because when you play a solo game, sometimes you end up spoiling what would have been something good. So today we expect some games that will be returning, and of course UBC will be broadcasting these particular games. I think there is a game at 1 p.m. that is going to be between Switzerland taking on the Cameroonian side, the side that believes they have come to win the World Cup. That is what Samuel Eto'o and the African side have been saying, that they have come to actually win this particular title. So Switzerland will be taking on Cameroon in the early kickoff at 1 p.m. This game is going to be broadcasted on UBC, and of course we shall later on at 4 p.m. see Uruguay taking on South Korea Republic. The Korea Republic, that is South Korea, which is a game that everybody should look out for. Uruguay is a very tremendous team that you can say. They're playing excellent football. First of all, we have players who are on top form. Fede Valverde from Real Madrid. This gentleman has been playing excellent football and has been winning accolades in that particular team. We have guys like Luis Suarez. Suarez is their skipper. He has been there. He has proven himself to be one of the greatest players in Uruguay. We have Edson Cavani, who is at his peak. He's mature enough. He has been in these tournaments before, and he has scored the goals for Uruguay. So Uruguay is that side that some people don't want to look out for, but these people are also a dark horse when it comes to the World Cup. The Uruguayan side, it's a very, very good side. When you look at the various players that are playing in that particular country, you would realize that Uruguay is also another team that we are going to reckon with. Later on at 7 p.m., we shall be seeing the Black Stars of Ghana taking on the Portuguese side headed by Cristiano Ronaldo. Cristiano Ronaldo still has a lot of controversy around him after Manchester United and him quitting and parting ways by mutual agreement. A move that came after Cristiano Ronaldo carried out an interview with Morgan Pierce that actually talked about Manchester United not in an appropriate manner, which Manchester United does not believe with. Remember, Manchester United says you cannot be bigger than the boss. That has been the policy for Manchester United over time. Cristiano Ronaldo's second spell at Manchester United has actually been an unsuccessful one, and you realize that he undid his earlier achievements that he had got when he was a teenager right there in 2003 when he joined the club. So Portuguese side will be taking on Ghana, a match that is going to be really, really thrilling and entertaining. Cristiano Ronaldo looks to make more records in that particular game, because when he scores in this particular World Cup, he will be the only man living to have scored in 5 different World Cups. No man has ever done that before. That means he has been around the game for more than 25 years, because for more than 20 years, because the World Cup comes every after 4 particular years. So Cristiano Ronaldo is looking to make that particular record, and I'm sure he'll be able to do that if he scores against the Black Stars in Ghana. Later on, we shall see Brazil taking on Serbia, 10 p.m. This game should be an entertainer for those who love football, because the Brazilian side is looking really, really sharp with Vinicius Jr., Neymar, and Rodrigo. That particular attacking side won't be an easy one to reckon with, because behind them you have people like Casemiro, you have Fred, you have Paqueta. All these boys are playing tremendous football in their various teams. In goal they have Alisson Becker, and of course even if Ederson Morales started that particular game, it would be a good one, because all of them are good. We have a defense of Dani Alves, who is 39 years, the oldest player representing Brazil in this particular campaign. So you realize that, this is going to be a buffet full of football. So guys, let's not miss these particular games that will be happening today. One is at 1 p.m. That is the early kickoff, as I've told you, Switzerland versus Cameroon. Then at 4 p.m. we shall see Uruguay taking on Korea Republic. At 7 we shall see Portugal taking on Ghana. Those are the Black Stars, and later on we shall see the Brazilians taking on the Serbians in that particular encounter. Now, enough with the sports. Let's delve into what I've talked about on this particular stage for various times. The fact that police stations are being attacked by unknown men or unknown assailants, I would like to say. The government says that these individuals are rebels who are creating panic in the community, but we don't have any facts about that, because the police has not actually come out to conclusively tell. Yesterday, it marked the 6th time as a police station is being attacked in a space of, I think, 1 month. The Nankulawe police station yesterday was attacked by unknown, gunmen, but fortunately, it was okay that they did not actually take anything and nobody was actually harmed. There is no gun that was stolen, but there was a bit of shootout in the dawn of yesterday. And people of this particular area say that they are having a lot of insecurity problems, and they believe that the government should do everything they can to protect them because they need the protection at the end of the day. And of course, that comes after various people have said that they need security. And remember, President Museveni came out to actually suggest that the police stations should be merged at the sub-county level as a means to reduce these particular challenges that are happening to police posts across the country. Remember last week, we saw some people attacking the Ginger barracks, and they killed one and stealing a gun. And the first one was in Busika police station, that was in Luwero. We've seen some attacks in Chanja near Kensington Police. So all these particular attacks are centered to police stations, and of course it is now a time for everybody to be vigilant, because it is not something that is very, very easy, and it's going to be tedious indeed. And we don't know where this is going to end. Last time we saw a killing spree that started up in the country. It ended up by taking on some two legislators, one being the one that represents us here at Makindye West, and the other being Mr. Segrinya, who represents Kawempe North in that particular regard. Now let's talk about schools. Schools are going to close by this Friday, that is going to be the 25th. In fact, tomorrow. Schools are breaking off tomorrow because of the guidelines that were put out by the Minister of Education and Sports, that is Ms. Janet Kataha Museveni. Now, Janet Kataha Museveni says this was a move to help reduce the spread of Ebola, and which is, by the way, moving on very well. The fight against Ebola is well, because in 10 days we have not yet received any case or confirmed any case or heard of any case of Ebola in the country. That is something that is really, really good. As we speak now, there is no case that has been recorded in the last 10 days. That means we are, handling the Ebola situation very well. Unfortunately, in that regard, there are some people who are striking some health workers in Kasanda and Mubende who say they have not received any allowance since they have been the fight of Ebola began. These people have been fighting Ebola for I think this is the second month now. But they have not received any pay, so they went on to actually declare that they are going to be striking, a move that the Minister of Health, Ms. Jenruth Acheng, says that it's not a solution that everybody who has a grievance should come out to complain or strike. Striking should not be a means that everybody should follow in order to get what they believe is something they deserve, or put their grievance across. So dialogue is something that Honorable Jenruth Acheng suggested that the health workers can actually adapt. Now, even when she was talking yesterday, the Minister of Health, Jenruth Acheng, also came out to say that there are some groups that are working on grounds to fight Ebola, and these groups should be given some resources in order to help them. These are the VHTs. So these people need to be helped and to be given money, because sometimes you realize that they're not given enough resources that help them fight these particular epidemics that break out in the country. Remember, the VHTs are the teams or groups that actually go down to the last person and try to find out and listen from them. What are some of the grievances? Do they have Ebola? And in case they have these particular conditions, you've seen these VHTs treating them. So in that particular regard, Dr. Jenruth Acheng is trying her level best to help out or advocate for those that are disenfranchised. So ladies and gentlemen, there is 3 people who actually perished yesterday in a fire that broke out in Namuhungo, that is on the outskirts of Kampala in Makindye East constituency. 3 people actually passed on, 2 being children and 1 being a parent. The fire broke out in the wee hours of the morning. And police, according to some of the people who were there, police came late after the people had already put out the fire. And they say that the emergency response is not as prompt as it's needed because sometimes it takes years and ages for police to respond to these various calamities that often break out in various communities. Now, there is a Uganda Innovations Week that is happening at Mestil Hotel. Now, this is an exhibition that happens annually and brings out various innovators in the country. Now, everybody who is innovating something in terms of business, they're actually taking part in that particular Innovations Week. And yesterday, in this particular Uganda Innovations Week, they launched the High Innovator Program that is going to be supporting, small and medium enterprises, especially those that belong to the women. Now, according to the Deputy Director of the National Social Security Fund, a partner that is working with, various partners like MasterCard Foundation and NSSF, in fact, and Young Africa Works, all these people are sitting back to look for solutions that are going to be helping entrepreneurs, especially female entrepreneurs, to be able to have their businesses thrive in that particular regard. So MasterCard and NSSF have put out a fund of $3.9 billion that is going to be given to more than 1,000 innovators in the country to actually boost their ideas and their innovations as long as they're in line of entrepreneurship and business. This is a fund that has most especially been designated to women. So 70% of the beneficiaries of this program are going to be the females in the country. Now, this looks at empowering the females and also having discussions around the challenges that face women in business, especially some challenges like feminism. We have challenges like people who are looking down at women, saying that they shouldn't be feminists, rather they should be families, they should not be business women, they should not be putting up enterprises. There are various challenges that surround the women in the country. So the Uganda Innovations Week is ending today. It is free of charge. You can actually drop by Mestil Hotel and just listen to what different exhibitors are doing. I'm seeing a lot of female exhibitors and they're doing a lot of tremendous works, from designing applications to starting up mega franchises and to partnerships. There are various things that are happening in the Uganda Innovations Week that is happening at Mestil Hotel. So you can drop by, look at some exhibitors and whatever they have for the country. It's 26 minutes past the top of the hour. As I promised, you have a gentleman called Kabele Erick. He is a novelist and a writer. We're going to be talking to him about his particular publication, and it looks at young parenthood, and we're going to look at people who have children when they're young. What are some of the dynamics in that particular regard? And later on, we shall be talking about teenage pregnancies. Remember, various people have dropped out of school due to these particular challenges that happen. Young people getting pregnant, and some of them dropping out of school, and sometimes they end up, not living the life that they should have lived because of maybe a moment that happened in just 2 minutes. So we're going to be talking about how we can reduce teenage pregnancies in the community and how can we empower young girls to be able to do whatever they can in order to dream and actually realize their dreams at the end of the day. My name is Edgar Karuhanga. This is the Mighty Drive Show, and we're going in for a short commercial break, but here's still to come.
Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Hello beautiful people, you're welcome to the Snap Talk with your girl Teddy Tenjo every Saturday right from 6 to 7.
Wajana body shaming. Speak up. Gendo ba confronting obagambe ekyo kyemukola si kirungi.
Teweerabira nti tuli wano ku the alternative Digitalk. Mukwano gwange gwali topic kiri wandyagadde twogereko. Is it about family?
Era teze tata wange amanyira nkola n'obuvunanyizibwa nyina bungi era agezaako n'anyamba yanda.
Naye kumukubira kumubuuzaako. Noga mama we bali kunzaala.
Is it outside family? Is it society? Oh, could it be relationships?
Come and visit, call me. Simanyanga I miss you bichi. Especially embeera y'obudde si nnungi.
Naye n'omuntu akwagalira mu season yaba takwagala ze nkubuulira.
Just be commenting nga topic yonna gyandyagadde twogereko tujjako tujogera ku the alternative Digitalk ku share enganzi the Snap Talk.
Fellow citizens, following the sequence of events, Uganda seems to be at political crossroads.
I'm not a servant of anybody.
Madam, I know the law.
As such, Alternative Digital brings you the Interface Show with retired Colonel Dr. Kiza Besuje.
Let's keep on the same page on Alternative Digitalk,
As he gives you the alternatives on the transition question, rule of law, human rights and freedom, youth inclusion in governance, economic stagnation, as he confirms.
I'll be always here Saturday from 10 a.m. in the morning. Be there.
Don't miss the live discussion on the Alternative Uganda, Digitalk TV Facebook pages, and the Alternative Uganda YouTube channel.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
An Uphill Task in Young Parenthood. This is a book written by a gentleman called Kabele Erick. Now, this book, Kabele Erick, is one of Africa's fast-rising, educating, exciting, and influential writers. Erick and his childhood friends give us deep chronological elaboration about how teens ruin their glorious future days when they fall prey to early parenthood after they are not well thought out, or rather panic decisions, or how those that decide better enjoy every moment of their lives to the fullest. An Uphill Task in Young Parenthood will distinctly guide teens on how to keep in school, set forth the value of virginity, smoke out all the misleading myths about sex and conception. At the end of reading this novel, everyone will have realized their role in the fight against early parenthood, which has for a long time been a stumbling block to many teenagers' education and success in life. That is the book by a gentleman called Kabele Erick. And of course, I have him in studios today, and we're going to be talking about this particular book, and we're going to be talking about teenage pregnancies. We are also going to be talking about various things that are happening in the community. You can also join the conversation through our socials. That is at The Alternative Uganda, still on Facebook, Twitter, and on YouTube, The Alternative Uganda. You can also log on to Digitalk TV page. We are still there, and we're going to be having this conversation. Drop those comments, and later on in the second hour, you can also actually call in live. I'll be able to pick some of your phone calls, and we'll be having a conversation up to 9 a.m. Sebo, you're welcome. Okay. It's a pleasure having you on the show. In this country, you never find a lot of novelists, especially young novelists.
Yeah, of course. In the past, we had some, but they used to write in Uganda. The Lawyers Matovujoy, the Kaswas. But this is a new kind of evolution. You know, I think it's about the generation. This generation is taking upon it the mantle to kind of address the predicaments, the plights of the society.
Okay. And many people do not. Okay, this is a personal opinion. I'm not going to set it as a fact. I don't believe that there is a lot of people who read. We're a generation that we are superficial readers. We just like to read on top. We don't like to really go down in depth about things. We actually do not like to write. There are not various people that do this. Do you also believe this?
I do believe, but we are the ones who change the narrative.
Of course.
You know? And of course, people say if you want to hide information from the black man, you put it in writing. But of course, if you, I, and the other do the good thing by actually making people laugh, reading, it will change. The perception will change if we collectively handle the situation. But if we continue saying, for example, if I had not written this, I would not be here. I would not be at such a big platform. So we have to make people laugh reading, because every information that is going to help any being is already written. It's already written anywhere.
Yes.
So we have to keep on.
And by the way, I tell people something. There is no shortcut to wisdom and knowledge. It is not there. You have to do the work. You have to do the reading. You have to do the writing. You're going to push yourself, and it's not going to be easy. But it's about how you, just believe in yourself and just say, let me do this because I have to do this, right?
Definitely. Actually, when I compile this information, many people have benefited from it. So whenever you see it on information, for example, if you are in a class and the teacher asks you, who knows this? And you see it, ma'am. And when someone answers, you say, I knew that answer. Of course, no one can believe you.
Yeah, because you didn't speak up.
Definitely. So you have to speak up, you have to write, you have to do whatever it takes to make sure that our information reaches to our targeted audience. For example, mine is the youth, and of course the parents. Because today's youth are tomorrow's parents.
Yes.
Yeah. And
some are already parents today.
Definitely, I'm already a parent.
Yeah. Okay. Just for the benefit of our audience, when I meet scholars and people who write, I enjoy to just have these conversations. But just
mbalamusizaako nnyo abalabi baffe aba Digitalk mwebale kubeerako. I greet you in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Those that are far across the borders, those that are here, mbalamusizaako nnyo. Yeah.
Okay. Kati olugero lwa Kabale Erick, we just want you to take us through your story, because I believe as you've written a book, but before you even delve into that book, I know it's your story that has influenced that book. So we just want to know who is Kabale Erick?
Yeah, Kabale Erick is an ordinary Ugandan born to Mr. Balubinze Charles James Waiswa and Mrs. Nansukusa. My father is a businessman, and so is my mother. But what made me write and everything was, first, it was the pain, because I messed up and things were very tough. Actually, I've seen people wondering what hell is like, but I've passed through hell on earth with this young parenthood. So I can tell someone about hell. And the pain and the sorrow pushed me on the edge, and I decided to put this my story into writing because it was 5 years plus, and some people spend almost their lifetime battling with the effects of young parenthood. So I had to write something that can, stop it. And I actually gave a burden to myself that I have to, by 2032, I must have done a lot on this problem of young parenthood. So I chose not to sit and I chose not to only write about it. I'm now into activism. So I have moved so far to the east. I have moved to the north, and I'm willing and I'm going to move to different areas of the country, because in the east, the cases are appalling. In the north, we are having families giving out their girls just 2 sacks of cassava.
Yes, and then they give out a child like that.
Yeah, a girl child, you know. So we are living in a messed up country, and we are the ones to organize it. No one else. If we try and maybe wait for anyone, we shall crash.
Okay. So young parenthood, this thing, how do you know it? Because, okay, I am 25. If I have a child right now, am I a young parent? No. How do you define young parenthood?
Now, young parenthood, of course, the age, most countries call someone young is 18, some countries 22, some countries. But for me, when someone asks me, when is it right to be a parent? Actually, some people ask, at what age?
At what age?
There is no, I won't say age, because I always want to say that, to equate it to at what time, at what right time, because you may find someone at 25 when he's not even ready. For example, people finish the universities when they are 23, 24, 25. So such a person who has no job, most are still dependent to their parents. They cannot sustain the families. But Uganda acknowledges a mature person at 18.
Yes.
But you know, someone who is 18 is in their senior 5 or senior 6.
Yes.
They cannot handle the family, because at that time they cannot even handle themselves. They cannot finance the bills and everything. They are still dependent to their parents. So I would love to say that if someone realizes that he can handle the responsibilities of
another person,
that is the right time to go into family business. Yeah.
Okay. Kati, you first tell us your story. How does it come about? When do you have this child? Offset, you told me that you have 2 children.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, how did everything happen?
Now, everything, it caught me off guard, by the way, because I was alive with the fact that when you play sex unprotected, of course.
Let's not even saying play. Maybe this thing of playing sex, have sex.
Oh yeah.
This is not a game, because it yields results.
Definitely. When you have sex unprotected, of course, there are 3 things someone gets. If the woman doesn't get pregnant, or the girl, if you don't get the diseases, from the spiritual point of view, you even get curses and other stuff.
Yeah, by the way, people should know, thank you for noting out that thing. People should know that sex is not just something that it's not just an activity. It's a bond. Okay, definitely. You know, in this generation, sex has been belittled to a point that it's just something that is normal, right? We have normalized having sex. But sex is a bond between not just the body but the spirit as well. That's why in the Bible, I know for people who are not Christians, they will just ridicule me, but I'm telling you, for the Bible, the sex was something that was given as a gift. That when people get married, you become one, and because you're one, you can have sex. And what makes you one? It's mostly what? The sex. So every time you bond with different partners, you are leaving a piece of yourself in them. So you're also getting a piece of theirs, and it's on you. So sometimes people just take it as something that is superficial, but it is not. Disclaimer. Let's continue.
Of course, for me, it was the myths. I had my friends who told me, when you do withdrawal method, you cannot impregnate a girl. I had very hilarious myths that when the girl is on top during sex, she cannot get pregnant. When she does vagina dodging, she cannot get pregnant. When she pees after sex, she cannot get pregnant. When she is in her periods, or immediately after her periods. So those, you know,
misconceptions.
Definitely. So for me, I used to do withdrawal, but remember, it was my first time. So we kept on using it, and from the blue,
it didn't work.
It did work out, you know. And actually, they say there are higher chances of a girl getting pregnant because of that, you know. So the best way to avoid, as I come to your question, to avoid pregnancy is either use of contraceptives. Actually, the best way is abstaining from sex.
Yeah.
But if you feel like you cannot, at least use contraceptives. And actually get credible information about the contraceptives as well. Because if you misuse them, you are still liable to pregnancy. The girl is still liable to pregnancy. And now, my situation was the withdrawal method caused problems. Yeah, it caused
So
problems.
which class are you then? How old are you by that time?
Then I was in my senior 6.
I want to say you're 17, 18.
Definitely. I was 17.
Young
And, yeah.
And there is a way we feel like you are a man, you're on top of your world, and you're just starting out on these things. You're so excited, you want to do them. I understand.
So so I messed up because why
you were still in school actively, or you were in
I was at the climax of my senior 6. So you can imagine on our last visitation day, during actually the examination week, that was when now my baby mama told me that, you know what, I'm pregnant for you. But I was going to sit my finals.
So how about the baby mama? Where was? Which class was she?
She was done with Form 4 and she was doing a certain course.
Okay.
So so she came after giving me, bringing me some stuffs and some pocket money. She told me, you know what? She whispered.
I have good news for you.
No, they were not good news suddenly. Certainly they were not good news, but it was something that pushed me back on the edge. It baffled me. So after like a week, I say to myself, nothing I can do. I'm a father to be soon, because I asked her, are you willing to keep the pregnancy? You know, I cannot abort. So
how did that make you feel? Don't rush it. How did it make you feel? Because most of the times, you realize young people, especially the men, they would like to say, you abort. So some even go to an extent of saying, let me deny the pregnancy until you abort. How did it come to your mind? And you don't know, how did you take that?
Of course, for the family I'm coming from, my mother is so religious. Yeah, she's so religious. She's a born again, and she's so religious, and that's how she has groomed us. We have, you know, we are afraid to do certain things. So when she told me I'm not willing to abort, I said, okay. And then after a week or so, I came to terms that I'm going to be a father. So let me first do the exams. I will cross the rest of the bridges when I reach there.
Did it affect you?
It affected me because actually that very day, I never read a single sentence from my books.
I know.
And the following day, it was the same case for a week. I used to go in the prep room and pretend like I was reading. And my friends were asking, what is it? What's the problem? Nothing, you know. Because if I had disclosed, they would still come to me, what, you know. And of course, I was not sharing the same school with a girl. So I chose to be silent about it and sit for my finals.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And immediately after, I went back home and I called her and we sat. By then she was the pregnancy was around 4 months. So we discussed how.
So by then you're done with papers?
Yeah.
You're now in your vacation?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we discussed how we are going to go about it. And of course, we knew that it was not going to be good news in the ears of our parents. So we had to forge a way forward. So
So by the 4 months, mom does not know, family does not know.
Actually, the whole situation, we hid it from our parents for 8 months.
Oh. Even her parents didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
But after, actually in the 8th month there, her mother got to know about it. And she shunned her because I don't know how God helped us. I would give it to God because the pregnancy did not, become so big for people to see. And she used to go for work early in the morning and come back late. So that helped us as well. And immediately when her mother knew about the whole thing, she had to chase her.
From home?
Yeah. And now I had to become a man either way.
Yeah, because situations had to make you a man.
So
there was no other option. You had
definitely. So I also, actually, we got a certain, we rented a certain car house and then we started, forging a life. But remember, I could not leave her alone in the house. So most of the nights I started sleeping at that place. And now my parents also, my mother, where are you? Osulawa. So she told me, you know what, go back today and tell your parents that whatever is happening, tell them the truth. We cannot afford lying to them for forever. So I went back home
Wait, before you go back home, you are in this time. Where are you even getting the money? This is a lot of responsibility. I'm just looking, I want you to just, you see, the reason why there's what they call the power of stories, and you're right, I know this. Someone's story is, what you're talking about is just a representation of many people who are out there, who are going through the same, who have gone through the same, and some people who have not yet gone through the same, but they can borrow a leaf from you. I want you to elaborate to these young people, because this is a platform that young people mostly watch. The experience of that time, because for you're telling us, yes, but you're not even bringing out the real reality of those months. I want you to just break down those months, that time you are from school, you are not working, but this girl she's working, but I'm sure she's not getting a lot. So how were those months before you even took to mom? How were they on you and her just personally? Is starting to navigate new rent, right? And those dynamics, I know there are a lot of expenses involved. Antenatal and things like that.
Actually, her boss knew about the pregnancy in the 5th month. So, and and the boss had interest in her.
Boss was a man.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the boss had interest in her, and he called her in the office and of course told her that, you know how I feel about you. From the start, I've been telling you that I love you. So you have just 2 options. Either you have to abort and be mine. So, and the boss had a wife and children, so she wondered, this man wants me to be, his second wife, and, so she chose to leave the job. And now, of course, I never had, any hands-on skill, kind of ideas in me. So I chose to do manual labor. So I started, I went to a certain construction company and I asked for a job. And what they gave me was a porter. So I started doing that work. It was so exhausting.
Yeah, I know, I've been there before.
So exhausting. Actually, I reached at a time when I used to vomit blood. You vomit blood today, the manager, actually the foreman tells you, you know what, go back. I'm going to give you the money, go back. But tomorrow you have to show up. Because I had to look for rent, I had to look for the antenatal care money. I had to look for, when before the baby arrives, you have to have a certain set of things, the cribs, the what and what, So I had to look for money.
And at the portal, I remember they are giving you like a cartel, 12K per day.
Yeah, by then they were giving me 8K. Because they were giving 10 and
lunch.
2 for lunch, 2K for lunch.
So you're getting like 8K.
So when, of course, we had to rent, and when she came, you have to feed her every day. Of course, yeah. The money you work for is the one you, is the exact money you leave at home.
Amazing.
Definitely. So you are working, just
working to eat.
Definitely.
Survive.
Hand to mouth. So it got worse to the extent that on the day of delivery, when she had to give birth, I didn't even have the money. But I just took her to the hospital. Actually, even before taking her to the hospital, I remember one time when I took her for antenatal, and there was this ugly, proud nurse.
She was ugly and proud.
Definitely. So she said, "Oh, you are back again. So this is the food that got you pregnant." Then she went on scolding us, stigmatizing us, belittling us in front of other
people. Yeah, I know such people.
So that made me so pissed, And we went back. Actually, we never even had antenatal on that day, and we chose to shift from the government hospital to the private one because of that.
Stigmatization.
Yeah. So then on the day of delivery, of course, I was so perturbed. I was so confused of what I was going to do. I took her to the hospital, but I had only 20,000 on me. So now, after reaching her, of course, she was screaming, sobbing like a child, speaking in tongues, like a pastor. So after reaching her in the ward, checking whether it was the right time for delivery, so the doctor confirmed that it was the due time. So I left her there, and I went to look for the money.
Yeah, and she's giving birth.
Yeah. Okay. So while I was moving through the corridor, I found a certain gentleman who had also brought her sick daughter of course, the daughter was sick, suffering from malaria. So while I was still talking to the gentleman, because he saw me baffled, and a lady came calling, "Daddy, baby, daddy, baby." I thought they were calling someone else.
You had never...
Till when she reached and she tapped on me, "Daddy, baby." On looking back, it was the nurse who had helped her reach her to the labor ward. "You are a father." I don't know, because I felt so happy despite the situation I was in. So I rushed. And as I looked at her, before even I reached her, I asked her, "Boy or girl?" She said, "Boy." I was so happy. I was so happy. And while we were still there, the doctor came and said, "Oh, thank God, your wife has delivered well."
She did a natural delivery.
Yeah,
very well.
Yeah. And that actually saved me
a lot of money.
Yeah. So the doctor then whispered to me, actually I whispered to him, "How much is the bill?"
Fast chill from there, ladies and gentlemen. 3 minutes to the top of the hour. This is a story of Erick Kabele, a story of young parenthood. This is a story that resonates with many of you who are watching today. We want to borrow a leaf, get some wisdom from his story, what he did right, what he did wrong, and maybe how you can avoid it. He has even written a book about this particular experience. You'll be able to get, to read, you'll be able to tell us more about this book. And in case you want to get it, you can actually tell us how much you can get it and where you can get it from. But before you do that, let's first go in for a short commercial break. When we come back, we start on a point when they have told him, when he asks the doctor, how much money is the pregnancy? Let him tell us the money and the different dynamics that navigated that particular issue. My name is Edgar. I'm still with Erick Kabele. Let's go in for a short commercial break. We shall be right back.
Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Are you guys ready? Okay, let's serve Uganda. As promised, we deliver. We are redefining the social media narrative, asking tough questions and holding your leaders accountable. We are non-partisan and break down having a conversation with Uganda.
We are the Mighty Drive. We hold debates that give you viable solutions. We bring to you people that Ivora is wanting to listen to. We are gender sensitive and give space to the unheard voices. Not forgetting the quote of the day.
We are live on our social media platforms, The Alternative Uganda on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter from Monday to Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Don't miss the debate behind the wheels and our studios.
I am Edgar Matthew Karuhanga.
And Princess Luwe Delidian.
Expect in-depth analysis, credible, factual and authentic information. We are the Alternative Digitalk.
Real issues, real talk.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
You are still watching The Mighty Drive. It's 8 a.m. exactly. Thank you so much for watching. I am still with a gentleman called Kabele Erick, and there are a lot of messages here. Prama Fiona says, some people are laughing. Prama, stop laughing. Prana, stop laughing. Ethan is watching. I'll be reading their messages subsequently, and many people have respect for you. Very, very many people. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you so much for watching. This is the Mighty Drive show. Happens every Monday to Friday, 7 to 9. We're always here having a conversation with various people telling us their stories, because we believe stories can help change the community, can help change the narratives. We stopped at a point where Eric, you whisper to the doctor and you ask them, Doctor, baby tumufunye ye mulenzi mfunye omusika ekyo kituufu. I have a Kabale Junior. But how much money is involved?
Yeah, and the doctor, actually the doctor said smiling, 300,000. Oh my God. Doctor, please lower the bill. You know I cannot stretch to that amount. And then he said, I lower up to that. Up to what amount? I said, at least 200. We normally don't change the bill, he said. But because you have shown the responsibility, you never shunned the girl and everything.
And you are young.
Yeah. Actually, he said, I had likeness with his firstborn. And then he said, for those sakes, I will lower the bill. So now I went out. Actually, I had went with our close neighbor who was our friend called Mrs. Rima. So she had helped us.
Oh, she was a neighbor at home, eh?
Yeah.
So she was helping your wife.
Yeah.
Okay.
So before I even left, the 20,000 I had, she asked of me to bring some Coca-Cola, that's the big 2-liter Coca-Cola, and some hot food.
Katogo.
Yeah.
So they normally give them katogo.
So I brought the food, and quickly after taking a second place at my son, you know, I went and to look for the bill. So I went to the construction site where I found my closest friend called Edie, and he promised me money. Actually, he gave me money, and he gave me 100 and borrowed me 50K. So he gave me 150. Then from there, he was so happy to learn that my wife had given birth and they were safe. Then I went to talk to the engineer of the construction site. He was so happy. Actually, at the construction site, I was called Younger. So he called all the workers and said, from now and from today, this is a man. If I hear you calling him Younger, you will be in big trouble. So he also gave me 100K, 100,000, and borrowed me 100. So I had 350. The bill was reduced to 200, so I had 150 in my pocket.
For starters, at least.
And while I was still there, dying of ecstasy, my fellow workers also, the one who gave me 50K, the one who gave me 100. So they gave me some money there. And I went back to the hospital, cleared the bill, and then came back home at our car house, our car rental, which we first entered 2, and now we were entering 3 with my son. And the second child came about the misconception, because 2 weeks after we went to the doctor, because we never wanted to have a child soon after. And we talked to him about how we could best prevent another pregnancy. And since my baby mama was had a bias on the contraceptives, so the doctor explained to us how breastfeeding could best work to prevent the pregnancy. That if you breastfeed your child 4 hours, 5 hours during the day, and likewise during the night, and you do only breastfeeding, it can save you from another pregnancy. But that never worked for us.
That was a misconception.
To some women, it works for them, but for some, it doesn't.
Okay, before we delve, I have some questions. I have a lot of comments here. There's a man called Ethan Mwine. Ethan Mwine asks, was she your wife or girlfriend? He goes on to say, his story is really touching and funny. But then I want to point a question that I'm picking from Ethan's question also. He asks if this was your wife or girlfriend, but even before, normally young people, you're young, you're teens, right? And often we are having fun, but normally there is no love, right? I just want to pick from your experience. Were you in love with this person, or were you actually just stranded with them? Or were you really comfortable at the end of the day thinking, yes, this is the person I want to be the mother of my children? Because this is a dynamic that happens in very many people. More often it's fun, and yet, boom, something comes up, and then you have to marry this person or be with them. So was it actually about really love, or was she your girlfriend, your wife? Did you like her, or it just came out of the blue?
Now, of course, where the problem comes, and this goes back to the parents, paying school fees for your children, providing the pocket money, feeding them, accommodating them, that is not where it stops. You have to show love, extreme love to your children. Hug them every day and show how you love them. Do not compare each child to the other. Do everything to make your children feel special, one of a kind, you know. Make them feel priceless. So for me, the problem came my parents are hard workers, they are go-getters. So I missed out on the love part. Of course, they had this normal love, but you know, children need to be loved to the extreme. So
there's that African love. You know, your parents loves you, but you don't feel it. But you know they love you.
Definitely. So when I heard of my friends, they are writing to them, sweet words and everything, I took that for love. And it brought me in that spot, and I would say in the start it was a bad wagon that led me into that. But after I learned to love her, and with the pregnancy and everything, they kind of cemented the bond, because you know when you have a child, of course it bonds.
Okay.
And even if you don't love someone, you got to learn to love them.
You learn to love them.
Definitely, softly, because love comes softly sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's how it happened.
So you eventually fell and started to love her, and because of the children and the things that you had gone through.
Yeah, I loved her from the start, but it was not this conk love. But with time,
You fell.
Yeah.
Okay, another question here. As at the point of delivery, had you talked to your family about the situation?
Yeah, at the point of delivery, the day of delivery, I did. Yeah.
Okay. Namatovu Julie says that was very noble of you. Hope there will be a recording. Thanks for sharing your story. Yes, the recording will be there. We shall be putting it on our YouTube right after this particular show. This one says he should read a book called The Alchemist. The world has a way of working things out for us. You can imagine all those friends who helped him clear the bills. At least that was off the table.
Yeah, I read The Alchemist. I read it.
He says that there are dynamics. When things happen, there is a way the Lord can really provide for people. Then Innocent Aineviona is watching live from Bara. Thank you, Mr. Aineviona, for watching. This one says you were forced to become a man.
Yeah, of course.
She's laughing. So is young parenthood a subject of age or independence and financial muscle?
Young parenthood, of course, it strikes differently. Some teens want to prove that they are, that they have grown up, and they want to stamp their maturity. So they choose to the road of the parenthood. For example, in the East, there are these small thatched houses that they normally build, and these are the teens. If one wants, for example, I heard of a story through my research that teens who wanted to have those small houses on their own, that they wanted to own them, they could impregnate a girl.
Yeah.
So the father could partition a small, some decimals on the land, and they build a house, and they start their lives. And the friends of the one who had, made a house, could also want to live a more independent life, free of restrictions and parent inclusiveness in their lives. So sometimes they want to stamp the maturity. Sometimes, if not most times, it is an accident. It is unintentional.
Yeah.
It is something people just dive into. Yeah.
Okay. Let me see some messages here. I read this novel. Had I read it before, my life would have been. Had I read it before, my life would have been a different story. Then he says, hell on earth. You went through hell on earth, and they are laughing. Sorry about that. Let me see. Actually, 95% of Ugandans are young parents. Someone has given us a statistic here that 95% of Ugandans are young parents. Is this true?
Of course, that's not true, but we are a younger generation. And of course, we are a younger generation is giving birth to a more
young generation,
definitely.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay, then let's continue with the conversation. You are in your house, but by then when you had this child, before you had the second child, were you still working on the building site? Had things changed? And after how long did this second child come?
Working at the construction site became my world because I had no skill in my head. So I had developed those simple skills, the building skills, but I had not yet graduated to being a builder. So I kept on being a potter. So as you can imagine, after like 2 to 3 months, she got pregnant again. And that also threw me into depression.
After like how many months?
After 3 months when she had delivered.
Oh, so you had a young 3-month-old baby and she was pregnant also?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, continue.
And that threw me into depression. I could go for work, but I was not the one working.
You're still getting your 10K?
I'm still getting my 10K.
How are you sustaining the family?
We used to live the day as it came. When I failed to get the money, she could call me, the baby's crying, I have nothing to give her, then I would talk to a friend. So I lived in debts, servicing this debt, servicing the other debt, That's how I lived.
Okay.
It reached at a time when I could not even work, and she could see it, but I had to report for work. At least, dodge some things at work because of my health. Yeah, but I had to keep on showing up. Yeah.
Okay, I understand. What and how was the parents' response after breaking the news of the pregnancy? Since your mother was too religious, how was the experience? You telling your parents, hey, by the way, your grandparents today, did you know that?
Yeah, of course, the message was not, it was not received well as expected. And of course, all parents fear to ruin their reputation, because I was exceedingly brilliant. They thought the whole world of me, And since I was always the best at school, scoring 18, 19, 20 points, nailing it up. So it baffled them. Of course, they had nothing to do about it, as in to turn back anything, but it was a shock, and they were not happy. Yeah.
Okay. But did they welcome you back? Did they want to see the baby? Did they see the baby? Did they come to your home? What was this?
After some time, I went with her at home, and they saw the baby and everything.
And by then she's pregnant with the second child, or was she already had the second child?
Yeah, she was pregnant by the second child.
Yeah, they're saying my boy is not resting.
Of course, they never knew about the second pregnancy. Yeah, they never knew about it, but she was already pregnant, and yeah, I took her along with the child.
Okay, so in that scenario, the second baby comes.
Yeah, the second baby comes, and actually, the second baby phoned me sick because one time I blacked out at the construction site.
Man, you're still hustling at the construction site.
Yeah.
That is like 2 years, eh?
So I blacked out because of the extreme pain, standing in one position for so long and everything. So I blacked out, and they rushed me first to a clinic and then after the hospital. So I was there. My parent, of course, we could not pay the bill. So she called my mother, and they came and for my rescue. They paid the bill and everything. So the news of the birth of my daughter phoned me in the hospital, and after they brought her, and I took...
It was a baby girl?
Yeah, okay. And I took a good look at her, and she was so like my mother-in-law. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. That's an interesting conversation. You can also continue sending us some of the messages here. I think Nachaine Rita, you've been answered, who asked how was the parents' response and the reaction after breaking the news of the pregnancy. You can still send more messages, more questions. I'm still having Mr. Kabele Erick, and he is a novelist. He's telling us about his experience there. So you're having 2 children now, and you're still working at the building construction site?
Of course, I chose to make lemonade out of lemon.
Of course.
And
There was no choice. You had to make the lemonade.
Yeah, but most people don't do it, and they get stuck there. Yeah, I have many friends of mine that I always talk to and everything, but they are still stuck. And with this campaign of mine, I want to unstuck many people. Yeah, and I want to stop others from even getting stuck. Yeah, as we are unstucking these ones, we want to hope others don't get where I got to. Yeah.
Okay. Do you sit back and say that, I wish I did not have these two children? What do you think to yourself when, do those thoughts come, but maybe if I didn't have a child, would you imagine yourself not having children, and what life would you think you would have had?
Of course, not at any time have I ever regretted having my children. Of course, I have missed out on a lot. Time has passed, because by now I would be a counsel. I would be a lawyer by now. And it was my direction immediately after my senior 6. I was going to do law. I actually went and did the pre-entries at UCU, and I passed, but because of the situation I was in, I never moved on, and that angered a lot my dad. And
so that is the first thing you missed out. I want to break this. You missed out first on education, on your degree. That is the first thing. That is one of the effects of you having a child early.
Yeah, I missed out on that, and I was thrown into I was thrown into depression, because whenever I turned, people were against me. Some could talk ill about me. He was bright. Look at how he settled for less. You know, I was stigmatized a lot. Actually, there was this one time when my landlord banged at my door after taking 3 months without paying him. "Get out, you young man. I'm not the one who told you to be a young parent. Get out, get out, get out." So, and the whole neighbors were hearing. We had, you know, we became a topic of discussion on his rental for some good time. You know, so it is, if I could tell anyone out there, a parent, you know, a friend, don't tamper. Always have sex at a time when, you know, you can handle the result of sex, you know, because this is hell. This is real hell.
It was not easy for you.
Not easy at all.
So is there a point when it became brighter, when things a bit changed? Is there a point where you feel like, okay, you went through the depression, these children are there? Is there any time when it started to blossom, to look good?
Whenever I could, of course, I could come back at home very exhausted, but whenever I could take a look at my kids, I used to ask myself, what am I going to leave for my children? Because I thought I was going to die, because every part of my body was aching. So now I asked, what am I going to leave for my children? So now one time, I was pushed at the edge, the sorrow, I was sunk in sorrow and everything. So I said to myself, I had a voice, it was like a voice, tell your story. And the next thing was grabbing a pen, and I started, you know, formulating.
And you said I'm a brilliant man, I can write this.
Definitely. So I started on the journey, and my brother, who is now abroad, told me, you can write about it. He encouraged me. He's called Katumba Dennis. He's my little brother. So I started, and I formulated my entire story. Yeah.
Okay. So when you formulated the story, how did things change? Did novelism start bringing in the money? Did you stay at the building site? Did you change the building site? What happened?
Actually, from there, my parents started supporting me.
Because now they see this person is here, it is already there.
Yeah, because I reached out to them and I told them, actually even when I was in the hospital, they say, no, we cannot let our son die in our watch. So they started helping me. Actually, from there, I went back. My mother gave me an apartment behind his house. and that was where we started living.
You and your wife
and my family. Yeah, and I started writing.
So you quit the building site, eh?
Because actually the doctors said I have to leave that kind of work for 5 years.
Yeah, because you were blacking out. You remember you were vomiting blood and things like that.
Yeah, I used to spit out blood almost on a daily. Yeah. So I published this book 5 months ago. This is my first publication. I have another novel called Burden of Guilt. I have Should I Move On? I have Don't Die Like Me. I have a long list of novels, books, short stories, songs. So I know that because I'm writing very good stories, the money will come when it comes, but now I'm looking at changing a certain life, out there, because sometimes when we pursue the money, we can even fail to get it.
That is one thing I know.
But if you do this, someone
purpose.
out there...
This is purpose.
Yeah.
That is purpose rather than the money. And every time purpose brings the money eventually.
Definitely. So actually, because I've told you that I'm not after the money, when I went and talked to a certain reverend called Reverend Father Kasibante, the head teacher of St. Augustine's College, Wakiso, he gave me 1 million Uganda shillings, part of the publication for the book, because he saw the cause, he read the book and fell in love with it, So he has been reading my other books and he has been pledging support, He has been giving me moral guidance. So that's how I plan to live the rest of my life. Okay. I'm going to be a man of substance, a man who adds to the society.
Of course, you are adding to the society. These are books that many people, by the way, people should just learn how to read, to enjoy novels. I have some questions for you here that have just come in. How did you handle that stigma and all, and how would you advise young parents in a similar situation?
Of course, the stigma, it breaks. But what I can tell you is to be emotionally strong. If you are strong, of course, many words are going to come at you at all angles. But you have to say, I'm not what he is saying. They are going to call you fools. They are going to call you all sorts of names, the one you expect and those you don't. But you have to be strong. Yeah. Okay.
This lady says, the day I read your novel, it changed me. Had I read it before messing up, it would have been a different story. She reiterates it one more time. Your novel must have changed a lot of lives.
It is changing a lot of lives.
I need to read it. I've not read it. I need to read it.
Yeah, it is changing a lot of lives. Actually, a certain parent called me yesterday, and she was like, you don't know what you've done for my family. She sent me even extra money because she had bought 2 copies at 30,000, and then she sent me the extra 50,000. I have so many people, the lawyers, Biamugisha Moses, Kakwenza Ruchira Bashaija. Many people are growing to like it. Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for writing. So literature to you is a tool to inform, right?
Definitely. This is art. Because I chose to write, but with time I will even act. I have to use every mean I can, Even if it is singing, I will sing about it. So I will use any tool. But of course now I'm using literature because you cannot act something that is not on paper, You cannot sing about something that is not on paper. You have to first, note it, and So I'm developing a lot of works for my journey. Yeah.
Okay. I realize that you're writing about things that, for example, you said you're writing about, you've written about teenage pregnancy. You're writing a book about abortion. You're writing a book about addiction.
Yeah, the drugs.
Yeah, what inspires you to just, because those genres are genres that not many people look at, but you're looking at them. Why them in all genres, in all scenarios?
So I want to add a brick on a responsible generation. a generation that is worth celebrating. And of course, when you look at this, our generation, drugs, almost 60% of our youths use drugs, different drugs. Almost 70%, if not 75%, are being affected by this young parenthood. And almost, actually, marriages of nowadays, it is hard to get a woman who never aborted. So I'm trying to bring back the sanity in this country. And I have to tackle what is causing the insanity. So I'm doing the opposite of what is happening now. I'm preaching ill about abortion. I'm informing people the horrible effects about young parenthood, and so the drugs. Yeah.
But how did we get here? How did we get to a generation where abortion has happened, that is it's prevalent? How did we get to a generation of intoxication, drugs? How did we get here?
Of course, I want to dwell into. Of course, I don't want to go into politics, but in politics, but it starts with the leadership and the levels of permissiveness, where a person has the right to do whatever they feel like. Back then, in our societies, that was not the case. You had to live as per the standards of the community. But nowadays, everything is to whom it may concern. The parents are not responsible enough. Likewise are the leaders, so no one is holding another one accountable. The law acts when the ones in charge or the ones that are ruling over us want it to act. So everything is topsy-turvy, everything is upside down, and we are the ones to bring back the sense, back the sanity.
Okay, the story of abortion. So what exactly do you write in this particular? Just give us an insight. I know it's not yet published, but just give us an on your study on abortion. What do we expect from this particular?
The book, my novel about abortion is called Burden of Guilt. Actually, there's a certain chapter where I say to hell with abortion, because abortion is something that people take lightly, but they don't know the horrible effects. You may damage your uterus.
You may not be able to give birth again.
Yes. You may get cancer. Because you see, with abortion, there are two types of abortion. One is called medical abortion, which involves the use of two pills, mifepristone and misoprostol, to end the pregnancy. And another one is called surgical, where they put a suction tube in a woman's uterus and they suck out the contents of the uterus. So it's a very horrible experience. First, it is a sin to murder. Why not, as I told you earlier, if you are not willing to man up or woman up with the responsibility of, sex, because, I'm going to get pregnant after unprotected sex. Why do you go on and, then you conceive and then you want to terminate? Women have told horrible stories about abortion, and it is happening all over, Some will never give birth again, some get cancer, some get miscarriages. Some get miscarriages at the exact months. For example, if she aborted at 5 months, whenever she gets pregnant and it reaches 5 months, she gets a miscarriage. So it's a very, very, very bad.
And even, by the way, you've not mentioned it, but even psychologically, abortion affects females. Even the men themselves who carry out these things or who abate abortion, there is a way it affects them psychologically.
Of course, it affects them because take a case in point where you lie on a metallic bed and they start sucking. Even that noise, it rings in your head till the day you die. Sometimes these abortions are not successful and these babies come out alive. And they actually heard of a story, a woman was going abroad. So she aborted at 7 months.
That's already a person, you guys.
Definitely. The hands are there, the eyes, the baby was alive. They are called abortion survivors. So the doctor told the woman, for me, what I do is to abort. I kill the baby in the process. So since the baby has come out alive, you have to kill it by yourself. And the woman grabbed the neck of the baby and squeezed, till when the baby stopped, when it was lifeless, and she boarded a plane. So it is so traumatic. How I wish people got information. How I wish people read these books, You see, I was selling a book to a certain parent, and she told me, but for me, I'm not a young parent. I had to sit her down and lecture her on the, on the advantages, on the merit of the books. And she bought 3 copies, So when someone sees a title, Unappealed Task in Young Parenthood, Burden of Guilt, what is he talking about? Some may even judge you by your dress code. But reading is so powerful. So we have to address these issues. And if I had also read a book of a sort, I wouldn't, fall prey of this young parenthood and other relationships, which, of course, never did me good. Yeah.
All right, guys, this is an inspirational story, a story that I also will not forget this particular show. Thank you so much for following the conversation. We have at least, I think, 15 minutes to get out of this particular place, but you can keep sending in some messages, and I'll be reading them subsequently. I hope, guys, we are learning something, or we are taking away something. First of all, my takeaway is wisdom, guys. First of all, wisdom lies behind books, and as I've told him, wisdom is not something that you can, maneuver around, right? We like shortcuts, but wisdom is not all about the shortcuts. You have to put in the work. That means you have to put in the reading. You have to try to read. You just have to do everything you can to get the wisdom. But guys, I hope this conversation has added something to you, or is adding something to you. There's some questions that are coming in here. Thank you so much for sharing them. It has been really, really good. He says, have you tried to partner with institutions that are advocating for this purpose? Maybe that will amplify your message and build even a bigger platform for you.
Of course, I've tried, but as you can see here in Uganda, some people are political, And for me, I'm not political, I'm for everyone. But I've tried, and I have gotten actually some partnerships, and I'm still getting, and I'm still going to lobby. So it will definitely reach where it has to.
Okay, so your journey of writing, and this is your first publication, it's out. Where are they going to get this particular book from?
Of course, they can reach me out. They can reach me through my different social handles, and of course I'm going to leave my number. I have a certain two bookshops now that I'm going to work with. One is called Mina Bookshop. It's in Wakiso, and another one is in Kampala. Yeah.
Okay, which one is in Kampala?
The one it's behind Uganda House.
Okay.
So I'm going to put the details on my page.
Oh, okay, no problem. Yeah. Your page is, I've seen Erick Kabele Novelist, right?
Yeah, I use Kabele Erick Novelist.
Kabele Erick Novelist. Yeah. Okay, Kabele. So Kabele, the other books that are coming in, you talked about them. The one on addictions, the one on abortions. When should Ugandans expect them to come out?
We have a new app called eBall, and this book is already on that app. For those that have eBall.
eBall.
EBOOAR. Yeah, and you can download it through your Play Store. And this book is already there. So 31st of this very month, November, my book, my novel called Burden of Guilt is going to be on that app as well. Just as little as $3.99, you can buy the book and read it, because some people fail to pay them maybe the 30,000. The book, this book costs 30,000 now. No. So they fail to pay 30,000, and then they go after a year or two for abortion, an abortion procedure which is 300 or 500, and some even die.
Many have died in those circumstances.
You fail to buy and gain this information, and then, for example, the bill for deliveries, it varies, but it ranges from 200 to, So
and when you have a cesarean section, my dear, you're in millions then.
Yeah. So burden of guilt in hard copy will be out before the year ends, probably after Christmas. And the other one, the Should I Move On next year, and the other books will be out next year.
They're prevalent, they're coming through.
Yeah.
Okay, in these last 10 minutes, I want just to give them to you to just tell us, how do you feel now when you see your children, when you see your wife, when life looks different now? How do you feel?
Of course.
When you're leaving your purpose, at least, there's purpose in your life.
Now, I feel fair. Because why fair? I've not reached where I want to, and but when I see my children, one was now promoted to middle class, I feel so happy. And
that is the boy.
Yeah, okay. And my daughter, now 3 years, I feel happy having a family and everything. But now, what makes me feel not that happy is the young parenthood is so appalling and rampant.
It's increasing.
And actually, let me use these remaining minutes to talk to my dear parents that it starts with you. Because, for example, my child would not be alive if I had not done something. So I brought them into the life. Now, I have to play a very fundamental role in their lives. First, at home, parents expose their children to sexual activity. But how? You have a two-roomed house you are renting. For example, I will give you a certain story. One time, a lady, she was renting a room, and in the front, it was the saloon, and behind it was where they sleep. Yeah, and he had a 4-year-old boy. And one time, while she was painting a certain woman, the hair, her boy said, "Mom, I'm growing to hate my uncle. Whenever uncle comes at our place, you scream, you do the fervent ahs and ohs, you always cry. What is up?" And the woman was so embarrassed. The child went on, "Mom, for me, don't tell uncle not to come back again. I hate him. Why does he always beat you?" And the lady was embarrassed.
Everybody was there.
Yeah. So the rooms, actually, the setting of a home must be very, 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 parents must set these homes wisely. You should not mix boys and girls in the same room. Boys should have their room.
The circumstance, my brother. You are there.
No. And that is why our society is going astray. We must do the right thing, no matter the economy. Because we are doing now. For me, I'm doing most of the things of course, for myself first, but for my children. So I'm held accountable if my son or daughter does the opposite of what she or he is meant to do. So the home setting, avoid sharing the same rooms with your kids, with your children. Don't mix boys and girls. Always love your children. Be their first teachers, their first mentors. Nurture them, be their best friends, Talk to your children early about sex. Don't beat around the bush. You find someone at 16, at 17.
They are trying to cover up.
Someone knows that the babies are manufactured. They should tell their children the fact about the sex and relationships. Go on and emphasize how much you value education. Set high expectations for your children is, education. If they are not performing well, that means something is preoccupying their brains. Find out, dig into the matter Talk to their teachers, you know. Know your children's friends and their families. Help them make friends from families in conjunction with your values, you know. Set curfews, common rules, you know, and expectation with the parents of your friends. Invite their friends at homes and at your home and see the type of friends, you know.
Your daughter has.
Yes, try to talk to the friends and see where they are of grade, you know. Know where your child is and what they are doing at all times.
And there is a lot of liberty in this generation. People, abantu bakulu ayategera.
Of course, someone who is left to live on their own is someone who is done with school and is already, you know. But if someone is still living under your house, is still a child and has a lot to learn, and you are there, you know. Most parents have left their children whom it may concern. Yes. They are working to leave properties for their children, but they are not working to leave some values, you know, the knowledge, kids, you know. They die today and the following day, they sell their properties. So we should work on how best we can make our children better, you know. For example, some parents, you must question and punish children who come home beyond the usual expected hours. You know, if someone comes at 8, where is she or he coming from? You know, those loopholes are the ones that these children use as an advantage to indulge in sexual activity. And when the men and the boys know that, when she goes even at 8, she's not questioned, you know. You know, they involve.
They take it as light, something light, and they will continue.
So parents, before the government, before the hospitals, before the church, before even the children themselves, you have the pivotal role in the fight against young parenthood, in the fight against abortion, in the fight against drug abuse. You know, you have, and actually, when you register a case that maybe your child was defied or raped and she got pregnant, treat it with the contempt it deserves. Imprison the boy for the rest of others to know that, you know, it is not good. You know, but when you go to the villages, they just, you know, leave the girl there, then she gives birth, you know, because the one who impregnated the girl or raped is a neighbor. How will they say?
How will they see us?
No. And actually, I'm going to be sharing people with my number. We have to be serious, because if we continue doing business in the same way, the same trajectory of stuff is going to happen. So we have to be serious about this young parenthood, because for me, I know how it has affected me. You know, I know the years I have burned, you know. So we must be serious at every step. Parents, love your children. No one is going to love your children for you. You know, no one is going to care. For example, you find that some parents, some children actually, they give in because of chips and chicken.
Yes.
Chips and chicken.
Chapats.
Yeah, just eats.
I know a girl who gave in because of pancakes and tea of 500.
So you can imagine. Find some time, take your children out on a simple date.
Let them experience
together.
Yes.
Eat chicken together, buy them gifts. Not only on birthdays, show them how much you love them. Actually, they are going to find refuge in you. They are going to report to you every
because this guy will come and show this girl love, and this guy will think,
you know. So parents, do what you have to do.
Someone has just sent in a message in prison. These things happen, Kabale.
In prison?
Prison.
We must not
would you have liked to be in prison after you met that girl pregnant?
Yes.
I think
yes.
That's extreme. That's what you are saying.
You have to, and that's what I was saying. Go into something when you know that I'm ready to man everything, that the outcome. If I was imprisoned, yes, I would serve my term, you know, and have a messed life. And if someone does the exact thing to any of my siblings, I imprison them. Yes, we must do what the law says.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to give us your parting shots. We've come to the end of this particular discussion, sir.
Yeah, I thank you all the viewers, my sister who is in Turkey, Prana Fiona, Nabile Fiona, and all the other people who will see this interview. My dad will see it, certain.
Prana has been live, she has been watching.
Yeah, I thank her for that. And I thank all those that have seen Fiona from Barara. So thank you so much. I know one day I'll be back.
There's a gentleman who has asked a lot of questions. Mr. Ethan Mwine, thank you so much.
Mr. Ethan Mwine, thank you so much. I hope you grab the book as well. I'm very certain that this is not my last time here. I'll be coming, and because it's young parenthood and abortion, it's a very, very, very big thing. Yeah, that cannot be discussed in the 2 hours. But I'm so thankful to the Digitalk TV for this great opportunity. Yeah.
No problem. It's always a privilege having you and sharing insights on things that not many people like to talk about. All those who talk about them don't talk about them from a position of purpose. It's just more of we want money, advocacy, organizational work. It's more of something we are doing to gain something, not out of true sentiment and purpose.
Yeah. Before I go, I would love to also thank Miss Joan Nanteza, my sister Katusime Joan. So they keep on pushing me. Thank you so much, and Mrs. Nabagala Allen, thank you so much. May God bless you so much.
All right, indeed, we've come to the end of this particular discussion. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to also read through that particular book because it's really, really insightful.
This is the
you can look at it. The camera can actually show it there very well. It's called An Uphill Task in Young Parenthood. The name of the writer is Kabele Erick. It's that particular book. So guys, make sure that you gain yourself this particular copy. It's a very, very good book. And you should get it. A copy is 30,000 Uganda shillings, right?
Yeah.
If you get it on eBay, you get it at $3.99. That's even lesser. I think that's like 15,000.
Yeah.
So you get it at half price if you're doing it, you're reading it from there. So guys, thank you so much. We've come to the end of this particular discussion. Remember, the African stars are going to be showcasing their talent at the World Cup today. 1 p.m. Cameroon is going to be taking on Switzerland. At 7 p.m. The Ghanaian stars are going to be taking on the Portuguese led by Cristiano Ronaldo. That is going to be an insightful and fruitful game. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. Up next is Diaspora Link. Will be coming in. We have a special guest. We're going to be talking about the experiences of young people who are working in these houses in the Arab countries. What are their experiences? And today we have a lady called Nalumansi. She will be sharing her story in that particular Diaspora Link. Do not miss it. It's going to be right here. And tomorrow we'll be having Omlangira on the drive. Mr. Mukose Arnold Anthony and Farida Bikopere will be joining you for that particular discussion. But from the entire team here, Rogers, thank you so much for being on camera. Arnold in production and Teddy Tenjo, thank you so much. Till we meet again next week, I'll be here on Monday. So do not miss me so much. I'll be back and I'll be giving you what has been transpiring in the country and of course across the globe. My name is Edgar. Good morning, Uganda.
Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.